Derek Cole found her in the alley behind St. Mary's Hospital at 2:17 a.m. She wasn't supposed to be there. Mia Chone was supposed to be safe, working her cybersecurity job, living her quiet civilian life in Seattle, far from the violence that had defined their years in naval intelligence. But there she was, collapsed against the brick wall near the emergency room entrance. Her designer coat torn and stained with blood, her face a canvas of fresh bruises. She'd crawled there, somehow, trying to reach help, but had collapsed 20 feet from the door. Derek had been driving home from his night shift at the docks, honest work that kept his hands busy and his mind from wandering to darker places when he'd gotten the text. Just 2 words, "Help me." Now he knelt beside her in the rain, and every instinct he'd honed over 15 years as a Navy SEAL screamed that he was looking at someone who'd been hurt deliberately, methodically, by people who knew exactly what they were doing. Mia. His voice was steady, but his hands shook as he gently touched her shoulder. "It's Derek. I'm here. You're safe now." Her eyes fluttered open, those sharp, analytical eyes that used to spot enemy patterns from satellite footage were now clouded with pain and fear. It took her a moment to focus on his face. "Derek... Her voice was a rasp, her lips split and swollen. "You came... double quotes, always." He was already assessing her injuries with the clinical precision of his combat medic training. Facial contusions, defensive wounds on her hands and forearms. The way she held her ribs suggested fractures, but it was the terror in her eyes that told him the worst of it. "Can you move? I need to get you inside." "No, not the hospital." Nia grabbed his jacket with surprising strength. "They'll find me there," they said. "They said if I told anyone... Derek's jaw tightened. "Who said?" "Mia, who did this to you?" She closed her eyes, tears mixing with rain on her face. "I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. In the data. I found something, and they knew. They came to my apartment. 3 of them. They said it was a warning. That next time they'd..." Her voice broke. Derek carefully scooped her into his arms, ignoring the protest from his own old injuries, the shoulder that had taken shrapnel in Kandahar, the knee that had never fully healed after a hard landing in Syria. None of that mattered right now. "I've got you," he said quietly, carrying her toward his truck parked at the curb. "But Mia, I need you to tell me everything. Who were they? What did you find? Not here, please, just get me somewhere safe first." Derek placed her gently in the passenger seat and buckled her in. As he closed the door and walked around to the driver's side, something shifted inside him. Something he'd buried 3 years ago when he'd turned in his trident and walked away from the teams. He'd promised himself he was done with violence, done with the darkness, done being the monster the Navy had trained him to be. But looking at Mia's broken face, hearing the fear in her voice, Derek realized some promises were made to be broken. He slid behind the wheel and started the engine. "My place. 20 minutes. Then you tell me everything." As he pulled into traffic, Mia spoke again, her voice barely audible over the rain. "Derek... I'm sorry. I know you wanted to leave all of this behind. I shouldn't have called you. But you're the only person I trust. The only one who can do what needs to be done." Derek glanced at her, saw the way she clutched her ribs, the way her hands trembled. "You were right to call me, and Mia." His voice dropped to something cold and final. "Whoever did this made a mistake. A big one. What are you going to do?" Derek's hands tightened on the steering wheel, his knuckles white. For 3 years he'd been Derek Cole, regular civilian, dock worker, quiet neighbor, the guy who helped old ladies carry their groceries. But before that, he'd been someone else. Commander Derek Reaper Cole, SEAL Team 6. The man they sent when diplomacy failed and mercy wasn't an option. I'm going to ask them nicely to turn themselves in, Derek said flatly. Mia almost laughed, but it turned into a pained gasp. And if they don't? Derek's reflection in the rearview mirror showed eyes that had gone cold and distant, the eyes of a predator remembering how to hunt. Then I'm going to remind this city why they used to call me Reaper. Now Derek's apartment was a modest one-bedroom in Fremont, deliberately chosen for its clear sightlines and multiple exit routes. Old habits. He carried Mia inside, set her carefully on the couch, and immediately began first aid. This is going to hurt, he warned, gently probing her ribs. But I need to know if anything's broken internally. Mia bit back a cry as his trained fingers assessed the damage. 2. Maybe 3 cracked ribs. No punctured lung. You'll heal, but you need to see a real doctor. I told you, I can't. I know people. Doctors who don't ask questions. But first, you talk. Everything. Now. Mia took a shaky breath and began. You know I work for Sentinel Security Systems. Cybersecurity for corporate clients. 2 weeks ago, we got a new client, Meridian Holdings. Big real estate development company. They wanted a full security audit of their networks. Derek cleaned a cut above her eyebrow with antiseptic, and I found something buried in their financial databases. Hidden accounts, shell companies, money moving through channels that shouldn't exist. Derek ... They're laundering money. Millions of dollars, but it's not just tax evasion. The money's coming from somewhere dark. Human trafficking, drug distribution. They're using legitimate real estate development as a front. You're sure? I'm always sure. Even beaten and terrified, Mia's voice held absolute certainty. I documented everything. But someone on the inside must have noticed I was digging. 3 nights ago, I started seeing a black SUV parked outside my building. Then tonight, they came. 3 men, you said. Describe them. 2 were muscle, big guys, Eastern European accents. But the third, ... Mia's voice dropped. He was different. Expensive suit, calm, cold. He did most of the ... He was the one who ... double quotes she couldn't finish. Derek's hand stilled on her arm. What did he look like? 40-something, silver hair, scar through his left eyebrow. He called himself Marcus. Said he was disappointed I couldn't be reasonable, that Mr. Kovac doesn't like loose ends. Kovac, Derek repeated, filing the name away. And this, Marcus, what did he say exactly? That I had 2 choices, forget what I saw and live, or keep digging and die. Then he ... Nia's voice cracked. He said to consider tonight a professional demonstration of what happens to people who don't follow instructions. That next time, they wouldn't stop. Derek stood, his movements controlled but radiating coiled violence. He walked to the window, looking out at the Seattle night. Rain continued to fall, washing the streets, hiding scenes. Where's your documentation? The evidence you collected? Encrypted cloud storage, multiple backups. But Derek, that's not important right now. What's important is that these people are connected, protected. Marcus made that very clear. He said no one would believe me. That if I went to the police, they'd bury me. That Meridian has judges, cops, politicians in their pocket. Then we don't go to the police. Derek's voice was flat, final. What are you going to do? Derek turned from the window, and Mia saw something in his face that made her breath catch. It wasn't anger. Anger was hot, impulsive. This was something colder, more dangerous. You rest, heal. In the morning I'll take you somewhere safe, a friend's cabin in the mountains. Completely off-grid. You'll stay there until this is over. And you? Me? Derek's smile didn't reach his eyes. I'm going to do what I should have done the moment you called. I'm going to find Marcus and his friends and this Karvak, and I am going to ask them very politely to leave Seattle and never come back. Derek, you can't just... Yes, I can. His voice cut through her protest like a blade. You know what I was, Mia. What I'm capable of. You've seen my after-action reports. You coordinated missions where I did things that would give normal people nightmares. The only reason I stopped is because I chose to. But choice goes both ways. Mia stared at him, seeing the transformation happening before her eyes. The quiet dock worker was disappearing, replaced by something harder. Something that had survived 15 years of the world's worst combat zones. They'll kill you, she whispered. They'll try. Derek grabbed his jacket and keys. I need to make some calls. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone but me. Understand? Where are you going? To wake up some old friends. And to start asking questions. He paused at the door, looking back at her. Mia, I need you to know something. What I'm about to do, ... It's not justice. It's not legal. It's not the right thing by most people's standards. But it's the only thing I know how to do when someone hurts people I care about. I know, Mia said quietly. That's why I called you. Derek nodded once and stepped into the hallway. As the door closed behind him, Mia heard him make a phone call. Jackson, it's Cole. Yeah, I know what time it is. I need the team. All of them. 2 hours. The warehouse. A pause. No, I'm not back in. This is personal. Someone touched one of ours. Another pause, longer this time. Yeah, that kind of personal. Spread the word. Reapers hunting tonight. Mia leaned back against the couch, every part of her body screaming in pain. But beneath the fear and hurt, she felt something else. Relief. Because she knew what Derek Cole was when he stopped being human and became something else. She'd coordinated his missions, read his reports, seen the aftermath of what happened when he was let off the leash, and she almost felt sorry for Marcus and his friends. Almost. The warehouse in Georgetown hadn't been used for legitimate business in years. Derek owned it through a shell company, a contingency plan from his SEAL days, a place to meet when things went sideways. By 4:30 a.m., 5 men stood in the dim light cast by a single bulb. Jackson Gox Williams, former SEAL sniper, now ran a private security firm. Marcus O'Brien, demolitions expert turned construction contractor. Vincent Torres, communications specialist who now worked in IT. Ryan Cross, medic who'd saved Derek's life twice, now an ER nurse. And Derek, gentlemen, Derek began, his voice carrying the authority of his old rank. I appreciate you coming on short notice. You said someone touched one of ours, Jack said, loading his coffee with sugar. That's not a request. That's an order. Who and where? Derek laid out photos on the table. Screenshots Mia had sent him before her attack. Mia Chun. You all remember her from the teams. 3 men assaulted her tonight. Broke ribs, facial trauma, terrorized her. They work for Meridian Holdings, a real estate company that's a front for money laundering, trafficking, and worse. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Names? Ryan asked, his medic's hands curling into fists. The leader calls himself Marcus. Silver hair, scar through his left eyebrow. 2 enforcers, Eastern European. They reported someone named Kovak. Mia found evidence linking Meridian to organized crime across the Pacific Northwest. Vincent pulled out his laptop. Give me 20 minutes. If they exist digitally, I'll find them. I need more than digital, Derek said. I need addresses, associates, patterns, weaknesses, everything. What's the up? Jax asked. Extraction, intimidation, or are we going loud? Derek's expression was stone. We're going to have a conversation. A very pointed conversation about consequences. About what happens when you hurt people under my protection. Translation. Marcus O'Brien grinned darkly. We're gonna scare the hell out of them. No. Derek's voice was ice. We're going to do worse than scare them. We're going to make them believe, with absolute certainty, that their lives are over unless they leave Seattle and never come back. We're going to dismantle their operation piece by piece. And we're going to do it in one night. Ryan raised an eyebrow. That's ambitious even for you, Commander. I'm not a commander anymore. But I'm also not the guy who sits by while someone beats a woman half to death and threatens her life. Derek looked at each man in turn. I need to be clear. This isn't sanctioned. This isn't legal. If you're in all the way. And if we do this, we do it right. No permanent damage, unless absolutely necessary. We're not killers. We're ghosts, delivering a message. What's the message? Jax asked. That hell is real, and tonight, they're living in it. Vincent's laptop beeped. Got something. Marcus Volkov, 46, originally from Ukraine. Enforcer for Dmitry Kovac, who runs Meridian Holdings. Volkov's got a history, assault charges that disappeared, witnesses who recanted. He's got an apartment in Belltown and a house in Bellevue. Kovac lives on Mercer Island, fortress-level security. The two muscle? Derek asked. Working on it. Got 'em brothers, Alexei and Dmitry Sokolov. Recent arrivals from Vladivostok, living in a rental in Pioneer Square. No priors in the US, but Interpol has flags on both for suspected human trafficking in Eastern Europe. Derek studied the information. Jox, you and Ryan take the brothers. Vincent and Marcus, you're with me on Volkov. We hit them simultaneously at 5:30 a.m. They'll be asleep, disoriented, vulnerable. What about Kovac? Marcus asked. Kovac comes after. Once his soldiers are gone, once his operation is exposed, once he understands that his money and connections can't protect him from people who don't follow rules, the team geared up. Nothing military, no uniforms, no official weapons. Just dark clothing, tools from their civilian lives, and the skills they'd never forgotten. At 5:15 a.m., they split up. Derek, Vincent, and Marcus headed to Volkov's Belltown apartment in an unmarked van. Are you sure about this, brother? Vincent asked as they drove through empty Predon streets. Once we start, there's no taking it back, I'm sure. Derek checked his watch. Mia's the reason half our missions succeeded. She found patterns, predicted enemy movements, saved our lives more times than we can count. Someone hurting her. That's personal. That's family. Marcus nodded. Then let's go remind these bastards why SEALs don't leave people behind. Volkov's apartment was on the 8th floor of a luxury building. Vincent made short work of the electronic locks. Years of cracking enemy communications made civilian security laughable. They entered silently. 3 shadows moving through the dark apartment. Derek found Volkov in the bedroom, sleeping peacefully in expensive sheets, completely unaware that his world was about to end. Garrick sat in the chair beside the bed and waited. Patience was a sniper's virtue. He'd learnt it well. At exactly 5:30 a.m., Derek turned on the bedside lamp. Volkov jerked awake, instinctively reaching for the pistol in his nightstand. His hand closed on empty space. Vincent had already removed it, looking for this. Vincent held up the gun, ejected the magazine, cleared the chamber, and pocketed the rounds. Volkov's eyes darted between the 3 men, his mind clearly calculating odds and finding them unfavorable. "Who are you? Do you know who I work for?" "Marcus Volkov," Derek said calmly. "Born in Odessa. Emigrated to the US in 2005. Enforcer for Dmitry Kovac. And 3 hours ago, you beat a woman named Mia Chun in her apartment because she discovered your employer's criminal activities." Volkov's face shifted from confusion to recognition to calculation. "I don't know what you'll don't." Derek's voice dropped to something dangerous. "Don't insult my intelligence. You told her to forget what she saw or die. You said it was a professional demonstration. Those were your exact words. She told you." Volkov's eyes narrowed. "Then you're too late. I already reported that she was talking. Kovac has people looking for her right now. By noon today Derek, moved faster than Volkov could track. One moment he was sitting calmly. The next, his hand was around Volkov's throat, lifting the man halfway off the bed. "Finish that sentence," Derek whispered, his face inches from Volkov's. "And it'll be the last thing you ever say." Volkov clawed at Derek's hand, gasping for air. Derek held him there for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, long enough for oxygen deprivation to induce real panic, then released him. Volkov collapsed back onto the bed, coughing and wheezing. "Here's what's going to happen," Derek continued in that same calm, deadly tone. "You're going to call Kovac. You're going to tell him the situation has changed. That Mia Chun has gone, left the city, destroyed her evidence, and won't be a problem. You're going to convince him to call off his search. I can't. Yes, you can. Because if you don't, I'm going to do something I haven't done in 3 years." Derek leaned closer. "I'm going to go back to being the person I used to be, the one who made men disappear in the middle of the night and left no trace. The one enemy combatants told stories about to scare each other. They called me Reaper. Want to know why?" Volkov's eyes were wide with genuine fear now. "Because I was the last thing they saw before the lights went out." Derek's smile was cold. "So you're going to make that call. And then you're going to pack a bag, get on a plane, and leave Seattle. Tonight. War. The Sokolov brothers. And anyone else involved in Mia's assault. Gone. Forever. Kovac will kill me if I run. I'll kill you if you stay." Derek pulled out his phone and showed Volkov a photo. Marcus and Jocks standing over 2 men zip-tied on a floor. The Sokolov brothers, clearly terrified. "Your friends are already convinced. They're on a bus to Vancouver as we speak. Now it's your turn to make a choice." Vincent set a burner phone on the nightstand. "Make the call. Now." Volkov stared at the phone, then at the 3 men surrounding him. Whatever he saw in their eyes made his decision. With shaking hands, he picked up the phone and dialed. "Mr. Kovac? It's Volkov. We have a situation, ... double quotes, he explained carefully, that Mia Chun had left Seattle. That she'd destroyed her evidence rather than face them again. That she was no longer a threat." Derek listened, watching Volkov's face, ready to act if he deviated from the script. "Yes, sir. I'm certain. He's gone. It's handled, ... Yes, sir. Understood. Thank you, sir." Volkov hung up and looked at Derek, with a mixture of hatred and fear. "It's done. He's calling off the search." "Good." Derek stood. "Now pack. You have 2 hours to be at the airport. If you're still in Seattle by noon, we come back. And next time, we won't be here to have a conversation. We'll be here to make you disappear. Understood?" Volkov nodded mutely. As the 3 men left the apartment, Marcus chuckled quietly. "We just bluffed our way through that entire thing. No violence, no actual threats we'd carry out. Just psychological warfare. Sometimes the threat is more effective than the action," Derek said. "Volkov will run. The brothers have already gone. That's 3 predators removed from Seattle without a single shot fired. What about Kovac? Vincent asked. Derek's expression hardened. Kovac is next. But he's different. He's insulated, protected, arrogant. He won't scare easy. So what's the play? We don't scare him. We ruin him. By 8 a.m., Derek's team had regrouped at the warehouse. Jacques and Ryan confirmed the Sokolov brothers were on a Greyhound to Canada, thoroughly convinced that staying in Seattle meant death. Volkov's flight to Miami was booked for 10 a.m., but Dmitry Kovac was a different problem entirely. Vincent had spent the morning digging deeper into Meridian Holdings' digital infrastructure. What he found was damning. Years of financial crimes, documented communications about illegal activities, evidence of bribes to city officials. This is enough to bring down his entire operation, Vincent said, pulling up files on his laptop. Bank records, shell company formations, communications with known traffickers. If this hits the right people, Kovac goes to prison for life. The right people being who? Ryan asked. Mia said, he owns judges and cops. Not all of them, Derek said. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Agent Morrison? It's Derek Cole. Yeah, it's been a while. I need a favor. A big one. I have evidence of organized crime, trafficking, money laundering. Major operation. But it needs to go to someone clean. Someone Kovac doesn't own. FBI Public Corruption Unit. Perfect. Can you make an introduction? Today. This can't wait. I'll explain everything. Thank you. He hung up and looked at his team. My sister. She's an FBI agent in the white-collar crime division. She can get this to people Kovac can't touch. That handles the legal side, Jock said. But Kovac still doesn't know his world is ending. He thinks Volkov handled the Mia situation. He's still sitting in his fortress, completely secure. Derek smiled grimly. Then let's change that. Vincent, can you get into Meridian Systems? Really get in. Access to everything. Already there. I've had backdoor access since 4 a.m. Good. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to systematically destroy everything Kovac has built. Not with bullets, with information. We're going to burn his empire to the ground and make him watch. Over the next 6 hours, Derek's team executed a campaign of precision warfare, digital warfare. Vincent planted evidence of Kovac's crimes in places where investigators would find it. Bank examiners, tax authorities, federal agencies. Suddenly they all had anonymous tips pointing to Meridian Holdings. Marcus used his construction industry contacts to spread word that Meridian was under investigation, that working with them was career suicide. Within hours, Meridian's contractors were canceling projects. Jacques reached out to investigative journalists he'd worked with during his security career, feeding them stories about Kovac's criminal empire. By noon, 3 major news outlets were working on exposés. Ryan contacted victims of human trafficking through non-profits he volunteered with, connecting them with prosecutors who could use their testimony. And Derek. Garrick made calls to everyone in Kovac's world, competitors, allies, corrupt officials, and delivered the same message. Dmitry Kovac is finished. The FBI is coming. Distance yourself now, or go down with him. By 3 p.m., Kovac's empire was collapsing in real time. His banks froze, his accounts pending investigation, his business partners fled. His corrupted officials deleted his contact information. His legitimate real estate projects were raided by federal agents. And through it all, Kovac had no idea who was behind it. No face to focus his rage on, no target for retaliation. Just the systematic destruction of everything he'd built. At 6 p.m., Derek stood outside Kovac's Mercer Island estate. The fortress-like security was still active, but it didn't matter. Derek wasn't here to break in. He was here to deliver a message. He called Kovac's personal cell number, a number Vincent had pulled from Meridian Systems. "Who is this?" Kovac's voice was sharp, stressed. "How did you get this number?" "My name doesn't matter," Derek said calmly. "What matters is what I know. And what I've done." "What the hell are you talking about? You hurt someone I care about. 3 nights ago, you sent Marcus Volkov and the Sokolov brothers to terrorize a woman named Mia Chun. That was a mistake, Mr. Kovac, a fatal one." Silence. "Then, I don't know what you—" "Yes, you do. And now you're watching your empire crumble and wondering how it happened so fast. Let me explain." Derek's voice was ice. "In the last 12 hours, I've systematically destroyed everything you built. Your money is frozen. Your people have abandoned you. Your crimes are being investigated by federal agents you don't own. By tomorrow morning, you'll be arrested. By next week, you'll be indicted on charges that will keep you in prison until you die. You ... Who are you?" "I'm someone who keeps promises. I promised myself 3 years ago I was done with violence. Well, done being a weapon. But you know what? Some promises aren't worth keeping. Not when people I love are hurt. This is insane. You can't." "I already did. It's done, Kovac. Your world ended today. But here's the thing. I'm giving you one chance. One. You cooperate with the FBI. You give them everyone above you in the organization. You testify against every corrupt official you've paid off. You burn it all down from the inside. And if I don't, then I'd stop being a ghost and become something worse. Then I use skills I learnt in places you can't imagine. Then you don't go to prison, Kovac. You just ... disappear. And trust me when I say, nobody will find you. Nobody will mourn you. You'll just be gone. You're bluffing. You can't touch me. I'm protected. By who? The officials who are deleting your calls. The partners who are fleeing the country. The lawyers who are refusing to represent you." Derek's laugh was cold. "You're alone, Kovac. Completely alone. And I'm the only person offering you a way out that doesn't end with you dying in a prison riot or vanishing in the middle of the night." The silence stretched for a long time. "What do you want?" Kovac finally asked, and Derek heard the defeat in his voice. "Justice. Not revenge. Justice. You hurt Mia Chun. You need to pay for that. But you also need to help dismantle the system that enabled you. Do that and you get to live. In a cell, yeah. But alive. That's more mercy than you showed Mia." Another long silence. "Then, how do I know you'll keep your word? Because unlike you, my word means something. You have until tomorrow morning. FBI will be at your door at 8 a.m. You either go with them peacefully and cooperate fully, or ... Derek, let the threat hang. Or you come for me." "No," Derek corrected. "Or you spend every remaining day of your life wondering when I will. Wondering if that shadow in the parking garage is me. If that car following you is me. If tonight's the night the Reaper comes. That's not a life, Kovac. That's a slow death. The cell is better. Trust me." Derek hung up before Kovac could respond. He stood there for a moment, looking at the fortress that would be empty by tomorrow, then walked back to his truck, where his team waited. "Think he'll cooperate?" Jax asked. "He will," Derek said with certainty, "because men like Kovacs are fundamentally cowards. They hurt people weaker than themselves because it makes them feel powerful. But when they meet someone stronger, someone who can actually hurt them back, they fold every time." "What about Mia?" Ryan asked. "Is she really safe now?" Derek pulled out his phone and sent a text. "It's over. Come home." "She will be," Derek said. "Kovac and his people are done. Even if he doesn't cooperate, the evidence will put him away. and every person who worked for him is scattering like rats. They're too busy saving themselves to worry about one witness. Vincent clapped Derek on the shoulder. You know, for a guy who swore off violence, you just took down an entire criminal organization. I didn't fire a shot, didn't throw a punch, just applied pressure in the right places. Psychological warfare, Marcus grinned. The most effective kind. As they drove away from Mercer Island, Derek felt something loosen in his chest. He'd kept his promise. No killing, no permanent damage, just the systematic dismantling of evil men doing evil things. It wasn't the way he used to operate, but maybe it was better. Maybe there were ways to be a weapon without destroying yourself in the process. 3 weeks later, Mia sat in Derek's apartment. Her bruises faded to yellow and green. Her ribs healed enough that she could breathe without pain. The TV played in the background, news coverage of Dmitry Kovac's arrest and cooperation with federal authorities. Meridian Holdings executive Dmitry Kovac faces multiple charges, including money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit human trafficking. Sources say Kovac is cooperating fully with investigators, providing information about corruption throughout Seattle's business and political establishment. He actually did it, Mia said, still surprised. He's singing like a canary. Fear is a powerful motivator, Derek said from the kitchen where he was making coffee. He's more afraid of what might happen outside prison than what will happen inside it, because he thinks you'll come for him, because he knows I could. Whether I would or not doesn't matter. The possibility is enough. Mia was quiet for a moment. I've been thinking about that night, about what you did. You didn't kill anyone, didn't even seriously hurt anyone. You just made them believe you would. Perception is reality in psychological operations. Make someone believe something strongly enough, and it becomes true for them. Derek brought her coffee and sat down. The old me would have handled it differently. More direct, more permanent. But I'm trying to be better than I was. You are better. You always were. You just couldn't see it. Mia sipped her coffee. Thank you, Derek, for everything. For coming when I called. For not asking questions. For ... For being you. That's what family does. I'm not your family. You coordinated my missions for 6 years, Derek interrupted. You saved my life more times than I can count. You're one of maybe 5 people on this planet I trust completely. That makes you family, Mia. Blood doesn't matter. Choice does. And I choose you. Mia felt tears prick her eyes. I don't deserve— Yes, you do. Stop that. You deserve safety. You deserve justice. You deserve people who show up when you're in trouble. Derek's voice softened. For 3 years I tried to be someone else. Tried to pretend I wasn't the guy who did terrible things in terrible places. But maybe that was wrong. Maybe the point isn't to stop being who I was. Maybe the point is to use those skills for something better. What do you mean? Derek pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. This came yesterday. Official letter from the FBI. They want to hire me as a consultant. Tracking human traffickers, organized crime rings, people who hurt vulnerable populations. They said my unique skill set would be valuable. Mia opened the folder and read, Derek, this is incredible. It's a way to still be that person without destroying myself. A way to use violence, precisely, carefully, only when necessary. A way to protect people who can't protect themselves. He paused. I called Jox, Vincent, Marcus, and Ryan. They're interested too. We could form a team. Do real good in the world. You're serious about this? I am. Because 3 weeks ago, I remembered something important. I'm not good at being normal. I'm not built for 9-to-5 jobs and quiet suburban life. I'm built for this, for finding bad people and stopping them. The question is whether I do it the wrong way or the right way. And maybe working with the FBI is the right way. Mia smiled, genuine and warm. Your sister must be thrilled. She's already taking credit for recruiting me. Derek smiled back. So what about you? What's next? I've had offers. 3 cybersecurity firms want to hire me after word got out. I helped take down Meridian. Good offers, but Mia hesitated. But I was thinking maybe I could work with you. With the team. You'll need someone who can track digital footprints, break encryption, find patterns, and I'm the best there is, you sure? After what happened, I'd understand if you wanted to step away from all of this. That's exactly why I can't, Mia said firmly. Those men tried to break me. Tried to make me small and scared and silent. If I walk away now, they win. Even from prison, they win. But if I keep fighting, if I use my skills to take down others like them, then I win. Then what happened to me means something. Derek studied her face, the determination there, the steel beneath the trauma. This was the MIA, he remembered. The one who never backed down, never gave up, never let fear control her decisions. Okay, he said. Welcome to the team. Officially. They clinked coffee mugs, sealing the deal. 2 months later, Derek stood in a FBI briefing room with his team. Agent Morrison, his sister Sarah, was presenting their first official case. Luis Contreras, Sarah said, pulling up a photo of a heavy-set man in his 50s. Major player in cross-border human trafficking, brings women and children up from Central America, forces them into labor and prostitution. We've been after him for 3 years, but he's smart. Careful. Insulated. What's the ask? Derek said, studying the file. Find him, build the case, gather evidence that'll stick. And if possible, rescue the 17 people we believe he currently has in captivity. Sarah looked at her brother. Can you do it? Derek looked at his team. Jacques nodded. Vincent was already on his laptop. Marcus cracked his knuckles. Ryan was reading the medical files on the victims. And Mia smiled and said, "We can do it." "Then let's get to work," Derek said. As they left the briefing room, Sarah caught Derek's arm. "You're okay with this? Really okay? Because if this is too much too fast, I'm good," Derek said, honestly. "For 3 years I was lost. Didn't know how to be a person without being a weapon. But maybe I was asking the wrong question. Maybe the question isn't how to stop being a weapon. Maybe it's who to aim at. And now, now I know. Bad people who hurt innocent people. That's the target. That's what I'm built for. And finally, that feels right." Sarah hugged her brother. "I'm proud of you. Mum and Dad would be too. I hope so. I really do." That evening, Derek sat on his apartment balcony, watching the Seattle sunset. His phone buzzed with a text from Tyler, the kid he mentored at the VA center. "Coach Derek, I got accepted to college. Thank you for everything." Derek smiled and typed back congratulations. Then another text, this one from Mia. "Pizza at my place tomorrow? The team wants to celebrate before we deploy." "I'll bring beer," Derek replied. He leaned back in his chair, feeling the peace that had eluded him for so long. He wasn't a civilian pretending to be normal. He wasn't a SEAL pretending to be civilian. He was something in between, someone who could walk in both worlds and use the darkness to protect the light. 3 months ago, he'd gotten a call in the middle of the night, a friend in pain, a cry for help. And he'd answered, not with the uncontrolled violence of his past, but with precision, purpose, control. He'd dismantled an empire, saved a life, and found his way again. Maybe that's all any warrior could hope for. A mission that mattered, and people worth fighting for. Derek closed his eyes and let the sunset warm his face. For the first time in 3 years, he felt whole. Not because he'd stopped being dangerous, but because he'd learned to aim that danger at people who deserved it. And in a dark world, sometimes that was the best anyone could do. The Reaper had returned, but this time he was hunting for the right reasons.